It is now 9 o'clock. We are going to stand and say the pledge.
Nice.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's meeting will be operated under the Nebraska open meeting laws, a copy of which is against the back wall of the chambers. We will be operating a little differently today. We'll need a motion to suspend the rules because we do not have the electronic voting.
So moved.
Second?
And, well, we have to do roll first. But I'd like to welcome everybody to our newly renovated, not yet completed legislative chambers with new seats without yellow construction tape on them because they're not falling apart. We also do not have our electronic voting, so I will have to be notified when somebody wants to talk. If I don't notice you, just speak up appropriately. And with that, we will convene as the Douglas County Board of Equalization. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha.
Here.
Mr. Chairman.
Here. We have the first two items, A and B, will be taken together. We have the approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, August 14th, 2012, and call for a meeting and set Tuesday, September 11th, 2012, as date for hearing on certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased value on property.
Motion to approve A and B?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Now,
Motion
next,
passes.
next we have citizen comments. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to be heard at this time for a maximum of 3 minutes on any topic not on the agenda as it relates to the Board of Equalization. Is there anyone who wishes to address the Board of Equalization? Now, this is on items not on the agenda.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
My name is Laverne Tran, 4728 Cass, Omaha, Nebraska. I'm here to deliver you some videos. I've been going to all the 0350 NRC meetings, and I've been going to OPPD meetings. I've asked both groups of people the exact same questions, and I ended up with different answers. It appears to me that the OPPD officials are not telling the truth.
Okay,
And I have the video evidence here.
Okay.
The reason I want you to have this is because you are Douglas County. You use a tremendous amount of energy from OPPD. So if they're lying to me, they're lying
Okay,
to
can
you.
I ask you, how does this relate to the Board of Equalization?
Is this not the Douglas County Board?
That'll be
Well,
coming next.
Actually, Laverne,
I'm sorry. I thought it was Douglas County Board.
you will have a more appropriate opportunity here in about 10 minutes
Okay.
to say all this, Laverne.
Right. No, that's fine. But if I had never been at the meetings before either, matter of fact, I have made that same mistake in the past. So,
Yeah, it's not a problem, Laverne.
okay. Next, we have resolutions D, E, F, G, and H. D is a resolution of appreciation for the service of volunteers assisting the senior citizens of Douglas County with their homestead exemption applications in 2012. If we could have Roger Morrissey come forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board, Roger Morrissey, County Attorney. I'd like to give you a brief update on the County Attorney.
County Attorney?
County Assessor. And I never wanted to be an attorney. Never, ever wanted to be
I'm
an
kind of the
attorney.
Pope, so I know the difference.
Oh, my God, and he's sitting in the middle today.
I'd like to talk about the success of the homestead program. Years ago, over 10 years ago, when I was the new assessor, there were seniors that were coming in to have their homestead application filled out. There were so many coming in that we put chairs in the hall down on Harney level. And that's all right, we'll wait. You know, I want Lois. Lois helped me last year to fill it out, and Lois can do it again this year. I talked to the staff and I said, does this happen every year? And they said, yes, it does. And, you know, it's just backed up, and they were patient, and we would help them fill it out. And the next year, David Myers came in my office, and several of you know David Myers, wonderful person. And David said, Roger, I got an idea. He says, I have a group of volunteers who are looking for something to do, and here's my idea. We'd like to help the homesteaders fill out their application form. And it was really a prayer being answered. I said, David, you're on. He says, we don't want any pay. We don't want you to pick up parking, lunch, or anything. We just want to help out. 2007, or about 2006, David came in and he says, you know, Roger, you know, we're not going to be here forever, and we want this to go on, this help. So we got help from a volunteer agency, Volunteers Assisting Seniors, to come in and help that volunteer group be what the group is today. And just briefly, I want to tell you that the homestead exemption program last year saved seniors $19 million in property taxes. $19 million. And I will tell you that we have over 12,000 applicants each year, and about 10% of these volunteers fill out their form or assist them in filling out the form. So in my calculation, they're helping save seniors about $2 million worth of that property tax each year. So we'd like to recognize them and have you recognize them. And at this point, I'll let Mike Goodwin do the rest.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have a number of volunteers that help at the 20 or 22 remote locations we have throughout the county every year. At libraries and other public gathering sorts of places, and the people come in, and we have staffers there, and the volunteers come in. And I'd like to take a minute to read the names of those who have volunteered and helped. Those who are here, we have some here, if you would stand up here to be recognized. I want to read all the names just because for those who aren't here, maybe they're watching at home, or maybe they have relatives that are watching at home. So let me briefly go through the names. Tom Bernstein, Al Block, Chuck Bloyd, Stephen Bodie, Kelly Borica, Jim Bird, Dave Conklin, Leonard Finnegan, Jerry and Marion Freeberg, Joanne Furze, Dick Glazer, Mike Gouger, Charlie Graham, Terry Johnson, Victoria Kuzmierski, Linda Lilligard, Joyce Mack, Linda Madgett, Sue Myers, Jack Nudell, David Peterson, Dell Roberts, Pam Roberts, Rob Roberts, Joe Rookstool, Rick Schofield, Valerie Shaw, Leo Smith, Barb Strominger, Jack Tillotson, Ron Trainer, Kay Turco, and Judy Williams. Thank you very much, one and all. And I would also like to take just a few seconds to recognize three of our staffers who are here today. They are instrumental in helping to process and fill out homestead applications. They also are very involved in our remote site locations, and they are Bob Robles, our personal property homestead supervisor, Donna Johnson, and Lois Braum. They work most They work most directly with the volunteers, and they help this all go together and help the seniors very well, and it's little enough to recognize all the hard work they do throughout the homestead year. So thank you once again. Thank you.
And
I
we,
just want to say that there would have been more of us here, but they're all out volunteering on other projects.
and we would like to have each and every one of you come up here and shake our hands. This is what makes Douglas County such a great place to live, work, and play. We have such great volunteers throughout the community, from all walks of life, that really treat our citizens wonderfully. Thank you. If anybody wants to say something, please step up to the podium there.
So much, Randy. Thank you. Thank you for all your help. And thank you for all your help.
And, yes, Commissioner Boyle?
Yes, I don't know, I haven't got my microphone on, I'm not sure.
It's on.
All the mics are on all the time today, so we do need
Oh,
to...
yeah, okay, good, so I
yeah.
gotta be careful what you say to me.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to say a couple of things. I have, just this year, I took a widow up to see the folks up in your office, Roger, and we were treated so well, and the care that your employee gave to her was really remarkable. And your employee, I wish I could remember her name. She was right there at that front cubicle. I thought I would, but I think I sent you a note. I hope I did. Is she there? Okay. You're the one, yes. You did such a great job, the way you treated her with such respect. And I left while you discussed her finances with her, and she was very happy with, she didn't qualify, but she was very happy with the way she was treated. And you exemplify our employees, because that's how almost all of the taxpayers are treated, with the same kind of care that you give. So I really appreciate it. I saw it firsthand. I want to thank Roger and his staff, because this all comes from, and Mike Goodwillie, this comes from a philosophy of caring for the taxpayer, which I think Mr. Morrissey has. I've seen it firsthand, and I think it's just another demonstration of his dedication to service. And plus, the names are read off. I recognize a lot of them, because you folks have been volunteering, and your cohorts have been doing a lot of things in our community for a long time. So you're not exactly, this isn't your first rodeo, and we appreciate it. So I personally appreciate it, because it affects a lot of the people in my district. So thank you very much.
Is there anyone of the recipients that'd like to address the board?
Just
See?
don't ask for a raise.
Any other commissioners have anything to say? Okay. We thank you all very much, and we do mean that. Okay, next we have E, F, G, and H, and unless there's an objection, we'll take them all at once.
Move for the approval of E through H.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. If we could call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle.
Yes.
Oh, well, we have to go back and vote on D also,
Oh, okay.
so,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm sorry.
May I add as a friendly amendment, even though we've already started voting, item B to that
Second.
motion.
Okay, so we're voting on D, E, F, G, and H.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Duda.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers.
Yes.
Commissioner Tusha.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Now we
Motion
have
passes.
protest of homestead exemption rejection for Jerry Franklin, 4515 Larimore Street. Mr. Goodwillie?
Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor's Office. This is kind of an unusual situation in the sense that, as with many of the it's purely a late file. We received the application for the 2011 homestead year in August of 2012. The protest indicated that Mr. Franklin has some sort of, it may have some Alzheimer's situation. What's unusual about this late filing and this protest is what typically happens when someone has missed the filing deadline. They'll get a tax statement in December that has the full taxes for their property and doesn't make any indication that they're in homestead. And at that point, we usually hear from the taxpayer or the taxpayer's relative saying, how come Mr. So-and-so or Ms. So-and-so isn't in homestead? Well, that didn't happen here. And in fact, the taxes for 11, both installments were paid. But nonetheless, we have received an application well out of the time deadline. This is not the first instance, Mr. Franklin has been in the homestead program sort of off and on, and by off and on, he was in it as far back as 05 and 06, excuse me, 06 and 07, did not file in 2008, filed in 2009 and 10, then didn't file in 2011 until August of this year, and statutorily they're out of time. Mr. Franklin would qualify otherwise had he filed timely.
Okay, commissioners, any questions?
I'd make a motion to grant the relief the taxpayers requested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Commissioner Borgeson?
And adjourn, yes.
Commissioner Borgeson?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda? No. Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
He said yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Tusha?
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, now we will convene as the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Call for the roll.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha, Mr.
Here.
Chairman.
Yes, here. Okay, we have minutes and claims. A is approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, August 14th, and B is approval of claims submitted for payment processed through Tuesday, September 4th, 2012. A complete listing is on file in the office of the County Clerk Comptroller and available on Douglas County Clerk Comptroller's webpage at www.douglascountyclerk.org/supplier checks. And then we have C, which is presenting a report and requested actions on claims being submitted for payment as exceptions on Tuesday, August 28, 2012.
Move approval of A, B, and C.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers? Yes. Commissioner Tusha?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion passes.
Next, we have the consent agenda, items A through V, consisting of 22 items. Is there anyone who wishes to have? Yes, Commissioner Boyle.
Yes, I sent a memo out yesterday, email, I guess, and asked about item I-1, which is a contract to haul trash with Papillion Sanitation. And later in this agenda, under Environmental Services, we have a resolution that I believe will clarify that all of Douglas County's refuse, Douglas County government's refuse, is to be taken to the Douglas County landfill. And the concern that I have with using haulers that are not using our landfill is that I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that using a landfill that's such as they do in David City, once Douglas County dumps our trash in their landfill, if something happens where the groundwater is contaminated or something of that nature up in David City and Butler County, that the lawyers, God bless them, start looking for deep pockets. And one of the big deep pockets would be Douglas County, Nebraska, and anybody who dumps trash in that landfill is subject to being a defendant in a clean water violation of something of that nature, groundwater. So it concerns me a great deal that we're awarding a contract to someone who's taking our trash to a landfill that we don't control, and one that I believe subjects us to liability. I could be wrong. I know Mr. Holm is here, and qualified legal counsel behind me. Probably shaking her head no, but I think we ought to at least discuss this before we vote on it.
Okay, Mr. Holmes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kent Holm, Director of Environmental
Morning.
Services. To address your question, back at the end of January, the city and county entered into an interlocal agreement that specified that both city and county contracts that dealt with solid waste, all of those were to be directed to the Douglas County landfill at Pheasant Point. This particular bid, the bid specifications for this particular item when they went out, did specify that all of the solid waste collected from county facilities are to be taken to the Pheasant Point landfill. Further, there was communication through from Papillion Sanitation to the purchasing agent, and I helped respond to that, indicating that yes. So they're fully aware of that provision in there, and that should be part of their commitment to honoring that bid. So
Thank you for taking
You're
care
welcome.
of that. Thank you very much, Ken.
Commissioner Duda?
I was going to address the same item I talked to Eric Carlson about this morning, and was just going to say the same thing, that I mean, they kind of, sounds like tried to wiggle out of it, but weren't allowed to, and therefore this trash, I think this will probably be about the first time that Papillion Sanitation is actually going to the Douglas County landfill.
Great. So that's great. Thank you very much, Eric.
I do have a question. Ken, I don't know if you can answer this or if Eric has to. If they violate this agreement, what are the repercussions to them, to Papillion Sanitation?
I guess I would defer to the county attorney or to Eric to address that specifically to the clauses in the contract.
Diane?
Yeah, we would have a termination clause. I don't think, have I seen the contract yet? Has it gone through yet? This is just.
That wouldn't have come through me.
So we'll make sure that the contract has an out, should that happen, we become aware that they're not taking it to the correct facility.
Commissioner Boyle?
What attorney saw this contract?
It hasn't been processed through yet. They're just awarding the bid.
Okay.
Should, Commissioner Boyle, should we have a penalty clause in it other than just termination?
I'd leave that up to the legal counsel, but the problem with it is that once it happens, I guess I'd like to see them indemnify us if we get sued in 25 years from now in the event, of course, they'll just go bankrupt, but that if we get sued for being one of the groups that dumped up in David City and there's a contamination lawsuit that groundwater is damaged, that they would step in and represent us, but I doubt that would happen. But that's why it's so important that we make sure that these contracts are tight and they do what they say they're going to do. Maybe there's some way we need to, as a practical matter, we need to tell them they need to tell us when they're bringing their trash, and we need to really monitor what they're doing. That's a lot of extra paperwork, but it's very important, I think.
Eric or Kent, is there a monitoring aspect to this contract,
Probably not. It's
proposed contract?
This is a contract that goes through a number of county facilities. I mean, what we can do is to basically do a little bit of monitoring at each one of those facilities, just indicating that the dumpsters and things at those locations that the janitorial staff that's dumping the trash in those are actually dumping it in there, and then once Papillion Sanitation picks that up, I mean, then yes, we could do some spot monitoring perhaps, but at the point of origin, I mean, I think it's important that the trash gets dumped in those dumpsters and then it's taken in those trucks to the county landfill.
I think the monitoring I'd like to see would be at the end, with Papillion being at our landfill, Papillion Sanitation showing up at our landfill and recording. We record, I hate to suggest it, but recording that they showed up and that they dumped in our landfill.
Well, we have that. I mean,
Okay.
we will see those trucks coming across the scale. We have full records of all of that.
Okay, then I'll quit being so nosy about that.
Yeah, this is Eric Carlson, Douglas County Purchasing. Just wanted to clarify, the item on the agenda today is to just approve the bid acceptance,
Right.
awarding to them. The contract would then be negotiated after that.
Okay, good deal.
Very good.
Thanks a lot for your help. Appreciate that. Thanks
So-
for your vigilance.
Do we have a motion?
Is there a motion? Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second call for the, is there any other discussion? Call for the vote?
Commissioner Borgeson?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers? Yes. Commissioner Lucia?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, we have recognitions and proclamations. The first is a resolution recognizing Paul Mullen for his many years of service as the Executive Director of the Metro Area Planning Agency. Commissioner Duda?
Thank you.
And Paul, would you come to the front, please?
So we can embarrass you one last time. As the county's representative to MAPA, and I have been off and on for quite a while, in that I was part of the search committee that hired Paul as our executive director umpteen years ago, and it's been a good experience, a good ride, a good hire. I would like to read the resolution, if I may. Whereas Paul Mullen, a civil engineer, has dedicated 40 years to the Metro Area Planning Agency beginning in 1972 when he was hired as a transportation planner, and whereas Paul Mullen has served as executive director of MAPA for the past 10 years, and whereas Paul Mullen has successfully advocated for the role of regional councils in the coordination, planning, and delivery of services that cut across jurisdictional boundaries, and whereas under Paul Mullen's leadership, MAPA has provided information, technical assistance, and coordinated initiatives among member governments in Nebraska and in Iowa, especially those that involve state and federal funding, and whereas Paul Mullen will be retiring as executive director of MAPA, now therefore be it resolved by this Board of County Commissioners that we express our sincere appreciation to Paul Mullen for his 40 years of dedicated service on the local, state, and federal level, and further wish Paul all the best for a long and happy retirement. Dated today's date, and I would be honored to move for the approval.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
Commissioner Tusha?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion passes.
Oh, good, it was unanimous.
I was sure it was going to be a 4-3 vote.
Thank you, Paul. I believe your last day is actually like September 1. kind
Sort of. As I had indicated to you a couple weeks ago when I was here, I would probably continue to work at least part-time for the agency for a while on this regional visioning project. But the transition between Greg and myself is going very smoothly right now. He's kicking me out of my office on Tuesday.
We told him to do that.
Yeah, and but it's been a very. When I came to Omaha 40 years ago, I hadn't necessarily intended to be here 40 years, but it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed almost every day. But it's been great working with the Douglas County Commissioners on various projects, including one that you're going to hear from Ken on.
That's right.
In
That's
just
right.
a couple minutes. So thank you very much for your recognition.
Well, MAPA has been a great tool for us and for all of the local government entities around here to utilize, and it has, I think, flourished under your leadership, and I thank you and commend you for what you have done.
But I think there's better things to come with the project we have going on, and hopefully it will continue to take it to that next level.
Very good.
Thank you.
And Paul, don't go. For those, Pam has a question.
No, I just wanted to
Oh,
make a
okay.
comment. I don't have a question for a change.
Okay. I'd like you to take just a moment or two and let the public know what MAPA does. I know that's going to be hard because of all you do.
Man, we're a organization. It's a voluntary organization of governmental entities throughout a 5-county area in the metropolitan area, Potawatomi and Mills County in Iowa, and Washington, Douglas, and Sarpy County in Nebraska. We were formed in 1967 as an organization to come together to help solve issues, problems that cross jurisdictional boundaries. In those 5 counties, every general purpose local government is a member. There's actually 63 members. I think the general purpose, meaning cities and counties, are like 39. We have special purpose units of government also, such as Metro Transit, Airport Authority in Omaha and Council Bluffs, MUD, Community College, Iowa Western, Metro Community College, all the way down to the Valley Volunteer Fire Department and Pony Creek Drainage District in Mills County. So, and this is just to you as elected officials to sit down and see where you can share ideas and share solutions. You know, some of the major solutions over the years that we've had is early on in MAPA's career, they did the regional wastewater treatment plant study, which resulted in the Papio plant down in Sarpy County that serves the entire metro area. There's been the regional solid waste study, which is just being updated, our various long-range transportation plans that have helped coordinate projects. Just as I always use 72nd Street as an example, from L Street south to Harrison Street. There's 6 different jurisdictions that deal with that. And when it first came on up on the agenda, so to speak, Ralston had planned on doing it the next year, and it wasn't even in Omaha's capital improvements program. So there were issues that always have to be worked on, and those are the things that MAPA over the years have worked on. And this regional Heartland 2050 regional visioning project will be hopefully the next step to have a more solid vision of what jurisdictions can work together in the future. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Tusha.
Paul, I haven't only worked with you for about the last 2 years, but I'll tell you, it's been a pleasure to work with you. You've made it very easy for me to be on with the MAPA board as an alternate, but as you know, I show up for every single meeting. And so I just want to say you will be duly missed, and I just want to thank for all the service that you have put in. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if I could do a little bit of snaps about what you're doing. When government grants are available for road work, for example, and the road goes from Douglas County to Sarpy County and perhaps to Washington County, we can coordinate between the counties. Or if something's happening in Pottawatomie County that affects Douglas County, again, we can cooperate and we can leverage funding through this agency. This is truly an example of regionalization that we are striving to increase and encourage amongst the counties. Please come shake our hands. Thank you. Congratulations on 40 years.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you,
Next we have a resolution recognizing City of Omaha Prosecutor Marty Conboy's years of service. And I already read this to him, but I made certain that he knew it was a proposed resolution because of the contentiousness of this one. So that if we could have Marty come forward and if we could have Commissioner Boyle read the proclamation.
Thank you.
Or resolution.
And I want to take a moment to thank Commissioner Kraft for allowing me to read and present this resolution to Mr. Conboy. Whereas this Board of County Commissioners desires to express appreciation and gratitude for the 32 years of service provided by Marty Conboy to the residents of Douglas County and the City of Omaha through his service as an Omaha City Prosecutor. And whereas Marty Conboy has served as the Chief Omaha City Prosecutor for the past 19 years and has announced his recent retirement. And whereas Marty Conboy established a reputation in the courthouse for being accessible, fair, and pragmatic in overseeing the Omaha City Prosecutor's Office, which is responsible for most misdemeanors and traffic infractions in Douglas County. And whereas this Board of County Commissioners desires to express gratitude for Marty Conboy's many years of service on the Criminal Justice Management Council, in which his leadership provided steady guidance for policy determinations for all of the stakeholders in the criminal justice arena. And whereas outside of the courthouse, Marty Conboy served the Douglas County community through his service on the Board of Directors for the Safety and Health Council of Greater Omaha, Secretary for Project Extra Mile, the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Task Force, Traffic Safety Systems, the Underage Driving Task Force, Chairman of the Legislative Ad Hoc Committee on Impaired Driving, past President of the Omaha Metropolitan Chiefs Association, Chairman of the Douglas County Criminal Justice Management Council, and Secretary of the Domestic Violence Council. And whereas Marty Conboy's service to this community will be sorely missed, and this Board of County Commissioners wishes him luck in his well-deserved retirement, now therefore be it resolved by this Board of County Commissioners, Douglas County, Nebraska, that Marty Conboy be recognized and formally thanked for his service to the residents of Douglas County and the City of Omaha, dated this 28th day of August, 2012. Congratulations, Marty.
Motion
Thank you
approved.
very much. It's a tremendous honor to be recognized by this group in particular. As I look at everybody here, I've been involved in so many things over the years with every one of you, and whether it's juvenile justice or domestic violence or criminal justice matters. And just from the very beginning, shortly after I took over as city prosecutor, when we took over the duties of the entire county's prosecutions, because it was a good idea, and it made sense because we were already doing so many of those cases, and that was part of the consolidation of domestic violence because it was a good idea. And so many things have been done with this board and with the efforts you've been involved in that are good ideas for the community. Putting aside jurisdictional issues or departmental issues, it's very difficult. I don't think the public realizes when you've got so many elected officials and different governmental agencies all kind of competing for tax dollars and efficiencies, to have those things coordinate the way they do. It takes individual efforts and common sense, and with the creation of the Criminal Justice Management Council, because of the efforts of this group over 15 years ago to try and bring together all the agencies, without deference to who they were paid by or what their letterhead said. All those successes have been very exciting. I've been very fortunate to have been part of those things, and I don't think the public realizes that each one of you is involved in so many of those things outside of your regular duties to try and manage the coordination and the improvements, and how many of those things are still ongoing. The discussions of, I just think of so many right off the top of my head, the diversion program for mental illness out of the jail system, and the systems that have been going on with community corrections, that attempts to save millions of dollars in corrections by improvement of the use of that facility and efficiency. Those things, I think the public assumes those happen. They don't happen automatically or easily, and their efforts are ongoing. Those discussions are across the board. So again, it's been a real privilege to have been involved with all of you, and some of the few things that I've mentioned that have been so exciting for the last 30 or so years. And I actually started as a county employee. I don't know if you knew that, for about 3 years, starting in 1978. So I had to settle for a job with the city ultimately. But
We knew there was a saving grace in there somewhere.
But again, I'm very honored, and I thank all of you, in particular Councilman Kraft, or Commissioner Kraft. And it's Councilman Kraft, too,
Yes,
I guess.
thank you. And Commissioner Borgeson.
Probably a lot of you don't know that Marty's family and mine grew up together in the Holy Cross area. And we went to grade school together, and some of the girls went to Mercy High School together. And then here we find ourselves together upon your retirement. And I, in particular, have worked with Marty on the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. And under Marty's leadership, the 1 year we went without any domestic violence homicides whatsoever in 2005. And it was because of Marty's efforts and a lot of other people, but Marty was the leader in making sure that the awareness of the issue was out there and kind of in everybody's face, if you will. And really did just a spectacular job, and we're pretty proud of that year. So thank you for your leadership. I hope that even upon retirement, there's some things we can call upon you during our domestic violence efforts, because you were force to be reckoned with during that, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tusha.
First of all, I have to say it's been a privilege not to come in front of you, so and everybody can vouch for that one. Second of all, you have done so many accomplishments for Douglas County. I mean, we can't even thank you enough for everything you've done, and to have you honored here today is just really special. And I want to say thank you for all you've done. It's just been wonderful. On a personal note, I think every Monday you need to take a picture of you dressed up with your ties, because I will miss your beautiful
Indeed.
ties, But I just want to say thank you for all you've done. Enjoy your retirement. Live life to your fullest, and I know you will, but thank you so much.
And if I could take a moment, this is for the public, because Marty Conboy was so dramatically underpaid when he was working, he was forced to shop at thrift stores and garage sales for his ties.
I think they're wonderful.
It's true.
Yeah. I don't know if the camera system is working today, but Marty always wears these most fantastic hand-painted vintage ties that he gets complimented on daily. And I asked him that if he'd put those in the will for me. I'd appreciate that. And Marty, one question of curiosity, is it true that 20% of your time was spent fixing tickets for Mike Boyle?
Oh, much smaller amount. No, actually,
It was much smaller than that.
Or members of my family.
it's about 0%.
Marty, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay,
We have a motion, a second. Did you want to say something?
I do want to just say briefly, I recently had, and over my career, I haven't, I'm kind of slowing down a little bit, but over my career, I've had a lot of defendants come before the city prosecutor, and Marty has a staff that really expresses his mood and his attitude toward people all the way to the secretarial staff. Everyone is treated with respect at the front counter. Defendants are treated with respect in the courtroom. No one is looked down upon, spoken down to. My experience with Marty, and I got him aside the other day and told him what a privilege it was to work with him. And because he has such a keen sense of common sense and fair play. The tone of his voice, you heard him speak today, that's the way he talks to everybody, calm and just listens, and a very responsive person. So I really have appreciated the steady hand of your service. It means a lot because you've just done a terrific job, really have.
Thanks,
so
Mike.
it's great to be able to read this proclamation to you and have you come forward, and we want to shake your hand.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Call for the vote, please.
Oh, we have to vote first.
Commissioner Borges,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tucci,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Motion passes.
Thank you, and it wasn't as contentious as I thought.
I'll still see you.
Congratulations.
You will be greatly missed. I'll see you
And
at the
Paul.
state sales.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Okay.
Phil, quick picture. Paul, run down 30 seconds for picture time here.
We have mugshots already.
Marty's got all of our mugshots.
Wonderful tie, and he's got our records. Should we all? Yeah. Come on over by me, everybody.
Oh, joy.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Next, we have a period of citizen comments. This is an opportunity, Laverne, if you'd like to come up. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to be heard at this time for a maximum of 3 minutes on any topic not on the agenda as it relates to the governance of Douglas County. And you're on.
Thank you. I'm sorry for the early.
Oh, no.
I work nights. My brain doesn't turn on until about 11.
20 years ago, I did something very similar to that in the same chamber, so.
Bill Laverne Train, 4728 Cats, Omaha, Nebraska. I gave you the videos. I made those videos. I recorded all of my conversations with the NRC and with the OPPD, and then put it together. We have on that video, you'll see the Ann McGuire, no water in any building, or no water on the property, but no water on any building. You'll see the Vice President of Nuclear saying that he's unaware of any water in the auxiliary building, and that it was dry, and he was on location during the flood. And you'll also see the President of the Board saying that no water breached any building. And you'll also see the NRC official saying, oh yes, water was in the building, and goes into complete, full, animated detail for about 10 minutes on all the areas in which water penetrated the auxiliary building, the loading dock area, and the, I forgot the third building because I'm nervous. But anyway, it's on the video. And then you'll also see the NRC officials manipulating the open house meeting, dissipating comment, and you'll also see the NRC officials, after giving me 28 minutes of time of answering my questions, to refusing my answering questions. Now, the reason I'm bringing it to you guys is it's all about really, if water caused problems or not is not a concern. The transparency of these organizations is my concern. If they're not telling me the truth at public meetings, at public board meetings, then how could this board or anybody who's a public utility owner, you're all individual owners of this public utility, and I assume Douglas County uses a tremendous amount of OPPD's energy. How could you really be trustful of these boards? Another thing I want to also point out about the nuclear power plant, we spent $335,000 on a 20-year upgrade, and what we got for that was an electric switch that burned out, an electric box that wasn't changed during the electric switch modification, which caused the smoke to go into the other electronics, which locked them out of the control room for several hours. And then we also got a heater core, an 18-month-old fix, break. And then what we didn't get was Teflon seals. There's 510 holes in the containment building, conduit, pipes, and what have you. And when it was built, they're sealed in with concrete and a Teflon seal. And those are 1970 Teflon seals, and of course when the NRC does their test, it doesn't withstand heat and it will not withstand radiation. So I don't understand what we got for a $500 million upgrade. It was supposed to be a 20-year upgrade, and the 510 holes in the containment building are not safe. Now, the next thing, them changing over to a private Exelon to run the power plant is a true admission of the OPPD that they are not capable of running the nuclear power plant. Now, nuclear power is inherently dangerous, and the only way to run it safely is to be deathly afraid of it. So I'm hoping just to bring you this information. You're all political giants in Omaha. I know you golf together. I know you hang out together. And I hope that you have conversations with these board members and ask them, why are you not telling the truth at public board meetings? And you can view the videos yourself and see if I'm lying to you or if I'm inaccurate or if it's a misstatement. You can look at it. It's very clear what they say, and it's very clear what the NRC guys say.
And every time you come to the podium, you need to, even though I called you by name, you need to re-identify yourself. So would you please state your name? You did?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I apologize.
No troubles at all.
And
I also like to put out there, I will do for free for the Douglas County an energy audit if you would give me access to what you're using. Because in their latest outlets, OPPD has finally admitted, after I've been doing this since '92, has finally admitted that efficiency will lower rates, and efficiency will also prevent the use, the building of power plants in the future. Well, efficiency will also shut down nuclear power plants, and efficiency will also shut down coal plants. Because North Omaha, which is in the Douglas County, has horrible air. And if you look at the air in North Omaha from that from the coal plant in North Omaha, it's horrible. And that's, of course, in the poor side of town, so who in the hell cares? But anyway, so I really like your urging as political giants and as a board or any power you can pull to try to get this nuclear power plant shut down. It is a public utility. We should not have private entities. George Norris created the public utility system to prevent competition. And now we have Exelon Corporation, the only person who's being negotiated with. I have a feeling a few French companies might want to come in and run it. I have a feeling that there's more than Exelon in the world that can run this nuclear power plant. So it's kind of what my statement is. If you have questions for me, I'm extremely knowledgeable on the issue, and I don't know what to bring to you necessarily. You might know what you want to know.
Commissioner Boyle.
Well, I don't have a question for you, but I always appreciate your coming down and making such a very clear and calm presentation about serious issues. And so I appreciate what you brought to us today, and I intend to watch. And I know Commissioner Morgan is very interested in this as well.
And that's what I understood. I heard that through the grapevine, and so I thought it would come to the board and get
And if you could leave your phone number.
It's on the DVD.
It's on the DVD?
And,
okay, very good.
And Solar Bus 69 is my YouTube channel, and
Very
I post
good.
all of the videos. I break out all the questions of all the questioners, and I break it all out. My YouTube has become very boring with these talking heads, but
Hey,
anyway, they're all up there. and I
Wonderful
post them all.
presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank you very
commissioners?
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Is there any other? With that, yeah. With that, if you could talk to Mr. Carlson, Eric Carlson from our purchasing, is that the correct resource? And the building commission.
Well, the building commission is just this building. He's talking about the county.
I'm talking about the entire county's energy
Well,
envelope.
between the two, though.
Because for an example, OPPD has done this air conditioning, trimming 14% off a peak, and they stick this little device on your air conditioner, and they're telling people that your house has to be 3 degrees warmer. Well, if you use solar thermal air conditioning, the hotter it gets, the better it performs, and the colder it becomes. And anyway, and things like that, simpler solutions that actually create cooler homes instead of warmer homes in the summer. And I just feel like if they're doing that, they're also advising you incorrectly also.
And this would be a good presentation perhaps for Commissioner Touche's committee. So,
Let me get you on that agenda too.
Yeah,
And
we'll work on that.
Which committee is that? I don't know. I'm on it.
Administrative Services.
okay. And Commissioner Boyle.
Well, if you're going to do that, that would be a good approach to take, but I don't want to, kind of have you out on your own trying to figure out who to call. I'd be glad if you want, I'll give you a call, I'll get your number.
Yeah.
And I'll try to get you connected with the people you need to talk to and see if there's real interest in an energy audit. Although her committee would be a good place, but we don't want to keep having you come back and make presentations.
Sure.
So
No,
I'll give you a call and we'll try to get you to the right place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the period where people can comment to the Douglas County Board regarding items as not on the agenda as it relates to the governance of Douglas County. Is there anyone who wishes to speak?
I do. My name's Laura
Morning.
McCormick. Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm going to stick to the written script because that way I can cover it all. The focus of my comments today is to express concern about the relationship that appears to exist between a Douglas County contract provider of juvenile court GAL services, Monahan and Monahan, and a sitting state senator, Senator Pete Persh. By his own estimation, Mr. Persh has been serving as a GAL in our county since 2006. Mr. Persh began serving in the unicameral about that same time. I first learned of Mr. Persh's role in these types of cases when a friend of mine was notified that her child had been assigned Mr. Persh as a GAL as a result of a truancy referral. I was shocked that any citizen of our county could be subjected to home visits by a state senator, who in his or her spare time evidently moonlights as a GAL attorney. At the time, I asked the Douglas County Comptroller how much money had been paid to Mr. Persh for his work as a GAL subcontractor. The Comptroller indicated that no funds had been paid to him. Given that fact, I assumed Mr. Persh simply had been donating his time in his capacity as a GAL to citizens in our county. Several months later, I met another Douglas County citizen who also received news that their child had been assigned Mr. Persh as a GAL, this time in juvenile court in a neglect case. I again inquired as to whether Mr. Persh was being paid for his work. The Comptroller's office referred me to Mr. Ray Curtis, juvenile court administrator. Mr. Curtis indicated that he did not know the payment arrangements and that I should contact Mr. Persh directly. Mr. Curtis expressed no concern whatsoever that Monahan and Monahan, or in Contro, might have subcontracted the work to Mr. Persh. I spoke with Mr. Persh last Friday. He indicates that he has a contract with Monahan and Monahan. I do not know the terms of this contract, and I'm assuming none of you do either. Monahan and Monahan received $300,000 in 2012 from Douglas County for these types of services, and their fees have increased exponentially over the past 10 years. Monahan's contract with Douglas County specifically states the following, and it is directly from your contract. Contractor shall not subcontract any of the cases assigned to it under this contract without the prior written consent of Douglas County contractors. Request to subcontract, shall include the title of the case, the docket, the page, the attorney's name, the attorney's address, and the attorney's phone number. This contract also contains a right to audit clause, which has never been executed. Oh, hang on, let me go back up, sorry. Just a sec. Which has never been executed in spite of the fact that the unicameral report on GAL services issued in 2009 states that in no uncertain terms, states in no uncertain terms that this current system of providing GAL and attorney services to youth in our county, it doesn't even meet their own attorneys' professional and ethical requirements mandated by the state bar. One such example is that GAL attorneys do not meet with their clients on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, Mr. Perch did not even meet with his client, Michael Ward. I do believe he attended court hearings, but I have no idea how much Monahan and Monahan may have been paid by Mr. Perch for these services. Equally disturbing to me is the fact that Mr. Perch denied any knowledge when I spoke to him, of the very report highlighting the deficiencies in the GAL system. Mr. Perch served on the Judiciary Committee in the unicameral at the very time the report was authorized. Mr. Perch is a licensed attorney in the state of Nebraska, and yet he claims no knowledge whatsoever of the report commissioned by our unicameral in 2009. This report is entitled The Evaluation of the Guardian Ad Litem System in Nebraska. Deficiencies in the report are as follows. These are the deficiencies identified. Complete lack of administrative structure and funding mechanism for GAL services.
Could you
GALs,
flip it to the items that relate to our governance and not the judicial? The contract
I understand where you're going to go with this, Mr. Kraft, and this is my comment. Please, can I make it? What I would tell you is...
You're well over the 3 minutes.
I understand
and
that.
I'll allow you to go, but keep it to the governance of Douglas County, not to your personal vendettas. Yes.
I would like to hear what she has to say, and I know that we have time limits, but I think it's worth it. I'm sorry to do that.
No, that's fine.
I would like to
You may
hear
go.
what she has to say.
To the tune, what are Douglas County taxpayers being asked when we pay these bills? In Contro and Monaghan get about $1 million a year, and that's just the juvenile court cases. They're the contract providers. The individual appointments, Mary Ann, I have corresponded with her, that's about $2.5 million. Mr. Kraft, I've attended finance meetings with you where you express concern about the fiscal direction our county is heading. These costs, 177% increase in 10 years. Great damage to families. Yes, I have personal experience of this system, and I'm sorry to say that I do, but it makes me very informed about what actually goes on. And our county court system it does not function in isolation. It also is married to the state because some of the people are state employees. The judges are state employees. There are numerous appointed employees, but there are also county employees, and we're paying these bills, and we're not getting what we're paying for. So I have just a few last points. GALs in Nebraska do not perform their work in compliance with national standards. No accountability for current GALs, and their alarming failure to provide competent legal services to their child clients. This is not my comment. This is Mr. Pachal's comment, the person who was contracted to write the report. Contract firms are unable to provide even minimally acceptable services due to crushing caseloads. Complete lack of a mechanism by which there would be supervision or accountability of attorneys providing these services. Mr. Pachal speaks specifically of the disturbing tendency of judges and lawyers to believe GALs require no supervision at all, merely because they have a law license, a license to practice law. A complete lack of commitment to rigorous training requirements. Mr. Pachal states 6 hours of initial training and 3 hours of CPE credits, which is what is required in our state, is completely inadequate. Now, I would argue that these issues very much speak to the fiscal issues in our county, the issues that youth and families face, because there are many, many people in our county who are coming either to district court or juvenile court, and these issues affect people that you represent. They are issues that deserve your attention. We pay lobbyists to, I believe, go down and lobby on our behalf. Are they addressing this issue? When will this issue receive the attention that it deserves? That's my comment.
Mr. Chair, can I?
Yes, Commissioner Rogers.
Lori, let me say I understand where you, I empathize where you're coming from. I clearly understand. But, it's, to your comment, I don't think it's not getting attention it has. At one point, we had a series of meetings to try to get a hold around this. And, I wish we had a lever of influence on it, but I don't know where we have any lever other than the contract piece. And I actually think we're kind of in limbo, because the fact is, if the Supreme Court makes a decision a certain way on this, it could really bust the budget. Because if we can't do the contracting piece, we're going to have to go out individually. So there's not a lot to sum up. what you're saying, except I just wanted to note the fact that it's, I mean, it is on the radar screen. It comes up every so often because it's interwoven in there. And, I mean, hopefully, once the Supreme Court makes a decision, we'll have some guidance on where we can go with that. So,
But I think that there are two issues related to that. I think we do have a method, and it's the unicameral, to make some changes in this system. And
I agree, but that's what I'm
and
saying.
I'm
That's
very
what the level
concerned,
is.
should you completely remove contract caseloads? Yes, I do think the cost will go through the roof, which speaks to the idea that we need, at the state level, a manner by which standards are set, standards of supervision, standards of accountability. Say you have a child who is appointed an attorney ad litem or a guardian ad litem.
No, wait a minute. I know, I believe me, I know. So if you're telling me, I know it's the state. And
what I'm trying to say to you is, let's say you had an issue, and this child was not receiving. If you buy into the idea that kids need legal services, if you accept that, then why are we providing it at a substandard basis? Which we are. It's a fact. It was documented. If you buy into that, then how can every single day in our county and our state, children, the most vulnerable of our citizens, be receiving services that are substandard, and we just all sit around and point fingers at each other?
And I don't think we're pointing fingers in respects to, like, go over there, don't come to me. You know, believe me, I would love to have the power to exercise some over it, but
the critical function is that there must be in my opinion, in my humble stay-at-home parent opinion, who successfully raised 3 children, there must be accountability and transparency. It is ludicrous under the current system. If you have a problem with an attorney, the expectation is that a child is going to pick up the phone and call Dennis Carlson. No child is going to call Dennis Carlson. Most adults wouldn't even know how to do that. There must be a system by which there is accountability and transparency, and there must be a system by which we, as residents of this county, identify when it is appropriate to appoint attorneys for children. Do they have to be attorneys? Simply because you have a law license, does that put you in a position where you are able to judge other families' living situations, their parenting? I'm not so sure.
If you're talking about accountability of the system, you're preaching to the choir.
So I will remain steadfast in my dedication to this issue, and the reason why is because of my 3 kids. So I will continue until it changes.
Commissioner Borgeson and then Commissioner Boyle.
Thank you again, Lori and Laura. And I have Mr. Kubat from our office actually working on gathering the information for me so I can hold a committee meeting just on this issue. That's still being worked on. And I mean, you bring up in my opinion, very, very, very valid points. And the one that I can't answer is within our contract, it calls for an audit. And we've never performed one the entire years that we've had the contracts with the 2 firms that we're contracting with. And the next question I would like when we have the conversation is it time to go back out for contract and see what's out there and build in better accountabilities and transparencies with these? I agree with Commissioner Rogers that it's kind of one of those, you're kind of responsible, but you have no authority, but we have voices, and we have political power in order to make some changes at the legislative level on this issue. And I think we need to ratchet it up to that level and start making some noise, because I agree wholeheartedly that the current system we have with the people who are representing our children in this county is not a good enough system. And so I applaud your efforts. I thank you for your efforts, and we will continue to battle the battle with you.
Commissioner Boyle and then Commissioner Rogers.
I too really appreciate it. That's why I wanted to hear everything you have to say. I read your emails, and I appreciate your attention to this. It's very important. It's very important to our county and to our children. Just a couple of comments about Senator Persh. He has a license to practice law, and the legislature is part-time, believe it or not. And so what he is doing, he may be showing up in probate court, he may be, in the Supreme Court someplace, he may be anywhere practicing law. And that includes being a guardian ad litem if he's appointed. Several lawyers are appointed to a lot of different positions by judges. So it is not a surprise to me that he's doing that. But I read your emails and showing up at someone's house. I don't understand all that. But anyway, he has a right to do that. Secondly, the reason why lawyers are appointed, not somebody else, or paralegals, is that the basic reason they're appointed is to represent the child. And whether they do that well or not, of course, is a very serious question. But they are called into court, and to practice in Nebraska, to appear on behalf of someone in a court setting, you do have to be a lawyer. So that's why lawyers are appointed and not paralegals or anybody else. That's why that happens. But, and then, of course, what Chris Rogers referred to, it looms as a real budget buster, and that is that we may be told by the state, whether it's the Supreme Court or legislature, that we can no longer contract, that we're going to have each individual case hired an individual lawyer, which would really be difficult for us, to say the least. So, but I want to say it's a very important issue you bring to us.
Commissioner Boyle, in other states, it is not always the case that the individual that would be selected to meet with families would be an attorney.
Right.
In fact, one could devise a system
absolutely.
where you did not need to be paying some of these people, and that's a whole nother separate topic. It depends on the judge, the level of examination of the bills. Varying rates are charged.
Sure.
There is absolutely no uniformity of that.
Oh, I don't disagree with you.
I think that the system needs to be changed so that it is not so focused on attorneys. And in terms of Mr. Persh,
right.
I think it should be transparent. He's a sitting state senator, and if he's going to be working as a GAL for one of your contracted providers, his work is violating your contract.
Right,
because
that's right.
He's a lawyer. He should know better. So should Monahan and Monahan.
Yeah, and my recollection is that, first of all, I didn't support those contracts, and secondly, I think I voted against both of them, but we have them, and they do need to be audited, so you bring some really good information to us, and I appreciate it.
My final, and I know you have to go, if you feel powerless, imagine what it feels like to be caught up in this system, because most people have no ability to, you are intimidated by the fact that you are now in a court system with a judge and court-appointed attorneys. You may not have the education, the ability, the time to advocate these things.
Absolutely.
So I am pleading, begging on behalf of all the children in Douglas County for attention to this issue.
You've got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
No, and Lori, I just want, you don't have to plead and beg. We're working on it. I just need to know that, last session, we did, the coordinating council did support an effort by sending the council to basically take the whole thing and give it to the state. Well, not take, but have them pay the cost of it, which of course, it got struck down. And then there was a bill there. I don't know if it got heard throughout, but it was put forward. And so I just say that to know it's there, and, it's not going unnoticed.
And Laura, if I could make the comment, you're a highly intelligent and articulate woman. And I hope you're expending these efforts where they can be much more effective, such as if you have a complaint against an attorney, there's the Nebraska Bar Association, there's the state Supreme Court where you can file complaints about the competency, there's the legislature that needs to be addressed continually when they're in session, and your efforts would be well spent with those who have the direct decision maker along with ours, since you've made us aware of this. And again, thank you. And now, is there anyone else who wishes to speak on any item not on the agenda? Yes, Commissioner Bergeson.
Well, I just want to make one last comment on the part that we do have total control over, and that is they're contracting with us. So
Yes.
it is our contract to oversee, and so she is bringing it to the proper body in that regard. but point well taken that there's other bodies that could potentially help with this issue as well.
Not only
Thank
could
you.
they help, they could help solve it. Commissioner Rogers.
And I mean, to one last point, I'm totally aware of the fact that we could do an audit, and if that's what the board wants to seriously pursue, we can bring it up as a topic, but being sensitive to what that cost entails in this time, I never put it there for serious consideration. But if the board wants it, we can put it there, have a discussion, have it move.
Well, that's going to be discussed at the meeting when we get all of the information, and it's going to be just that topic on the committee. So we'll talk about that audit as well. Rick?
Just a couple of points. The National Center. We don't have a microphone. The National Center for State Courts was in here November of 2011, and they did specifically look at the guardian ad litem contracts, and they provided a significant amount of comment as it relates to this issue. There's also, just so everybody's aware, the Nebraska Supreme Court has formed a committee where they're looking at guardian ad litems in general as far as issues that revolve around training, number of contacts, and those kinds of things. The state legislature is most well suited to address what guardian ad litems are required to do for purposes of representation. And again, Commissioner Borgeson, will be putting together some information for the full board, and we'll be getting that set up for a committee hearing in the near future.
Anyone else? Does any other member of the audience wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll do presentation. Commissioner Tusha.
Thank you. Just a real quick update. I won't go into a whole lot of details. Our Douglas County Courthouse is celebrating our 100-year anniversary this year, and we are going to celebrate that on Saturday, October 20th from 9 to 2. We are going to have the VFW riders raising the flags, gun salute. We're going to have opening ceremonies with several speakers. We are looking at closing off 17th Street from Farnham to Kearney, I believe it is. We're looking at food vendors. We're looking at having music here. That's on the outside. On the inside, we're going to be giving tours of the courthouse. We're going to have display boards up so people can see the history of our 100 years of our courthouse. We have an older courtroom. We will have a few lawyers in there speaking to us, telling about their history of the courthouse. We've just got all kinds of things going on. So mark your calendars, again, for Saturday, October 20th from 9 to 2, and come and help us celebrate our 100-year anniversary, and I'll have more updates as they come along. Thank you.
Okay, next we have public hearings. The first one is a Class CK-100014 liquor license for DVL LLC DBA Deja Vu Lounge, 1021 South 178th Street, Omaha, Nebraska, with a corporate manager application for Nicole L. Richardson. Is there anyone in favor of it? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mike Kelly, 7134 Pacific, appearing here with Nicole Richardson. This is a purchase of an existing location, the Wet Lounge. I happen to know Nicole. She used to work for us. She's been in the business about 13 years. She has a couple small blemishes on her record, but nothing that I think would prevent her from doing a great job out here. And with that, we're open for any questions or rebuttal if that would be necessary.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else in favor? And if there's anyone against, please come forward. Is there anyone in favor or pro or con against this item? Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Close the hearing, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, we'll close the hearing.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
Commissioner Tusha?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Next, we have the adopt.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Next, we have an updated integrated solid waste management plan. Kent Holm.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kent
Good
Holm,
morning.
Director of Environmental Services. A few weeks ago in the Community Services Committee meeting, I presented basically the same information that I'm going to present to you this morning. And given our technological challenges this morning, I'm just going to go through real briefly for the general public's comment and then also for yours. Just some basic comments and an overview of what this item is. Back in 1994, or actually a couple years prior to that, the state of Nebraska enacted the Integrated Solid Waste Management Act. And this set up a number of different things, but one of the key things, it really set up a more of a regionalized structure for solid waste management. And here in the Omaha metropolitan area, MAPA kind of took the lead then and coordinated a process where a integrated solid waste management plan was developed for the region. And that was designed to encompass a 20-year period. And that 20-year period is quickly closing upon us, and so we've taken the initiative to update the integrated solid waste management plan. And in this past year and a half or so, there's been a planning effort from MAPA, the City of Omaha, Douglas, and Sarpy counties to update the plan. And that plan is intended then to cover the period through 2032, essentially the next 20 years. There was a needs assessment done. This was primarily handled by HDR through a contract there through MAPA. And I would note that the funding for that came from a couple of grants from the state of Nebraska, Nebraska Environmental Trust and Department of Environmental Quality. So very much appreciate that support. Looking at funding needs for the anticipated cost increase and program changes, looking at landfill capacity, and I think we're very fortunate here in this part of Nebraska to have a landfill that has adequate capacity for well into the next century. Looking at waste exports, the fact that we need to do a better job of tracking kind of where waste is generated, where it's going, and some of the other just dynamic things that are happening. Sarpy County has a landfill that's going to be closing, a new transfer station opening, and also the Omaha compost facility that may need to be relocated because of some growth issues there. One of the guiding principles, though, that came out of the planning process is the fact that we really need to make a more sustainable system, solid waste management system, and through that we need to progressively move from a system where you're collecting and disposing of a lot of it to get to a system where you are diverting and not creating as much waste in the first place, but also taking advantage of that solid waste and creating more recyclable opportunities, creating more markets for those, and then hopefully getting to a more of a closed loop system where you can reuse some of those products locally, create new products, and keep those things from being landfilled. So some of the kind of the main issues that came out here is that waste of materials really needs to be minimized. We need more community participation in recycling programs, and commercial waste disposal and recycling materials needs to be tracked and managed. One of the ways that we're going to have to implement some of those things is really to get a better handle on identifying where the solid waste is created, and being able to track that and be able to define where it's going, how it's being used, so that we can identify what those recyclables are, how we can potentially develop better markets, and a lot of this will be a cooperative effort between the public and private sector, leaning heavily on the private sector to be able to do a lot of these things. There were a number of technical evaluations that HDR completed. These included solid waste management program funding, waste tracking, zero waste and waste minimization, energy recovery program options and assessment, public education policy initiatives, and market analysis. all of those technical evaluations are in the document. This is about a 500-page document. A lot of that is just this technical evaluation support piece. The action plan is developed, indicates 9 categories of specific items, 35 action plan recommendations, and a timeline and implementation plan, and that is also in that document. I wanted to give you just a couple of examples of some of the items that are in the action plan. First one, for example, promote source reduction programs which minimize the amount of waste that must be managed by post-consumer programs. Classic example, if we don't generate as much waste, we don't have to pay to dispose and handle that. So that's one particular item. We looked at a sort, and we're just calling kind of a working title, a source reduction leader, a person that specifically is looking at kind of administering these particular plan items, and again trying to increase resource conservation, reducing the percentage of waste, reducing the toxicity of waste. This is a big public education piece right here, and that would be a primary responsibility of that position. I mentioned public-private interaction and partnerships. Those are going to be critical as we move forward, and we'll be looking for opportunities there. The key thing, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but it is a key factor that Commissioner Boyle brought up during the discussion earlier, is there's a liability issue here. Really one of the big 2 things that is driving a lot of this, I think from Douglas County standpoint, is that we recognize that there's a lot of solid waste that's generated in Douglas County. But we need to be able to account for that, because ultimately, if it's not disposed of, handled in the correct way, there's potential liability there. We recognize that, and we want to build into the plan and implement the plan ways that we can track that and ensure that we're taking the appropriate steps to minimize liability to the taxpayers of this county. The other issue is really just the economic factors here, and the fact that even if we are disposing of solid waste and we're taking it to landfill, we want to be able to generate revenues out of that from the solid waste that's there, being able to reclaim, recycle materials out of that, because there's value in the solid waste. And if we can identify ways to do that, then we can use that to help drive the local economy, provide business opportunities for the private sector, and really create a more sustainable solid waste management system. And that is really, at the end of the day, what we're looking for here. Looking at targeting underserved diversion opportunities, the potential increases commercial, institutional, industrial waste recycling. There are opportunities out there, and we need to look at those opportunities and pursue those. Finally, an item about implementing transfer station and processing facilities. I think that's an item that potentially has some relationship to greenhouse gas emissions. We are in the metropolitan area on the verge of being out of attainment and for ozone. And one of the things that becomes obvious as you start looking at the solid waste system we have is that we have a lot of trucks going around collecting solid waste. In particular areas, you might have, in a subdivision, for example, you might have 4 or 5 different companies that might be going down a particular subdivision street collecting solid waste. Is that the best system there? I mean, I think we need to look at potential additional transfer stations that would minimize the amount of that truck traffic, being able to centralize some of those operations and then be able to transport more efficiently to recycling facilities, or perhaps have processing facilities right there with the transfer stations. So a number of different things to look at. Public education is going to be absolutely huge as we go forward. And at this point, I've presented enough. You've all kind of heard me talk several times before, so I will stop with that. Happy to answer and address any questions. I will say that the Omaha Planning Board received a presentation similar to this a few weeks ago. They voted 5-0 to recommend adoption. The County Planning Commission at their meeting just a couple of weeks ago voted 7-0 to recommend adoption of the plan. So with that, I ask for your consideration and favorable adoption of the plan.
Commissioner Boyle.
Ken, I had a question. I heard some conversation in your presentation about a position. Is there a new position in the works here, or is there somebody else someone presently employed going to take over these responsibilities?
That's to be determined. What we're looking at is just it was identified in the plan by HDR to have a coordination type of a position. How that comes about has not been determined. That was simply a recommendation there. There's nothing to say that we absolutely have to do that, but that is a recommendation.
I'd like to recommend that we suggest to the city that whoever their contractor is to pick up trash of the city residents, whether it's Deffenbaugh or somebody else, that they supply the person to do that. That'd be terrific. I think they're in the recycling business pretty much anyway, but I'd like to suggest that the city get their trash contractor to provide that person, because we don't have the money to do that, and it really is something that would be terrific if the city did it. The other thing I'd like to ask is that we could make a formal request to the city to include, recycling. As I talked at this committee meeting we had, Ann and I live in the old market in a condominium association. There's 12 of us there, and we recycle, and Ann does almost all the work, but she takes everything down to a location under the bridge in the interstate down by Heart of America Park, and not a big deal, but I don't know who else in the building is recycling. If we had just a couple of those tubs that the city people get, and we could keep it inside our building, we could get recycled materials, and then on a certain day of the week, take it outside and have the city pick it up. It'd be terrific. But I think we get a lot more recycling because there's a lot of people living down there, Soma, and none of that has recycling at the door. We'd still have to take it to someplace outside, but I'd like to see us look at that with the city if they'd consider having a truck come through on a certain day downtown, and other areas too. Apartment houses out in the suburbs don't have that service either.
Well, you just hit on one of those opportunities. Okay. Is that the plan certainly recognizes that is an underserved segment, and so yeah, you just hit on that.
And I want to take a moment to thank you for. This is a very progressive program, and I really congratulate you on bringing this to our attention and spearheading this. You're doing a terrific job.
Well, thank you. A number of other people involved, Paul Mullen with MAPPA,
right,
who you just recognized earlier today, and Marty Great and Nina Cudahy with the City of Omaha, Dwayne Brigman with Sarpy County. We're all heavily involved with the initial planning and development of this plan. So, yeah, a lot of time and effort, but a lot of work to do from this point forward.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tusha.
Ken, I see that this is going through 2032, and I was going to ask you a couple of questions about your reporting, but I see at the end of this that you're going to have annual reporting and 5-year reporting, so I do appreciate the updates on that. Because again, for this long of a period, you don't know what can happen next month, let alone in years from now. So I just want to say thanks for throwing those also in there.
Okay. Any other comments from either the public or commissioners? Public hearing is now closed.
Nice job. I would move, second the motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
Commissioner Tusha?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, we have Finance Committee.
Thank you.
We have the budget report. Commissioner Duda?
Thank you. The budget report is as presented. We have one action item on the agenda this morning, and that is approval of a resolution setting the preliminary tax rates for the miscellaneous subdivisions. And I would move for the approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and is there anyone who wishes to speak on this? Seeing none, we will call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson? Commissioner Boyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda?
Yes.
Commissioner Tusha?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Next we have Administrative Services. Commissioner Tusha, anything to report?
Nothing today, thank you.
Child and Youth Services, Commissioner Rogers.
No, nothing.
Child and Youth Services Standing Committee meeting is held the first Tuesday of every month at 1 p.m. in the Omaha Douglas Civic Center, room 903, and it is always open to the public. Next, we have Community Services, Commissioner Duda.
Thank you. No, actually, today there will be a Community Services Committee meeting to discuss the Convention Visitors Bureau contract. That will be 10 minutes after the conclusion of our executive session up in room 903. That is a public meeting.
And Criminal Justice, Commissioner Boyle.
Nothing to report.
Human Resources, we have our weekly personnel report from Civil Service as presented. Yes.
I have a question about it.
Yes.
There are, I've asked Lee Lejeune to come down for just a moment. There are 7 job audits requested, and I'm not saying that they're not, important or shouldn't be considered. I'm not making any comment about it, but when these job audits come down, I'll let Mr. Lejeune explain, the purpose and what might be the outcome, so that we're really aware of what's taking place. Mr. Lejeune?
Sure. Thank you. Lee Lejeune, Director of Human Resources, Douglas County Civil Service Commission. As Commissioner Boyle mentioned, there are 7 positions that we submitted that have come to us for having the positions to be audited. Per the report we've submitted, there's an Entrance Security Officer 1 and Entrance Security Officer 2 position that were requested from the Sheriff's Office to be updated, update the job description. This did not involve any increase in pay. This was to change the job description to add a requirement that individuals who would be hired in this position would be able to wear a ballistic vest, a bulletproof type vest. Then there was a second change they requested to be made to the job description, and that is that an individual who would apply for the job or be selected would have graduated from an approved law enforcement academy. And so those appear to be legitimate things to be added.
Could
And
I ask
so
a
it
question?
was basically
Wouldn't that tend to raise the pay?
Not necessarily. One is just being able to wear a vest, and then a basic requirement of having graduated from law enforcement academy that would not necessarily increase the pay that they would receive.
Thank you.
The Director of Community Mental Health Center, this is basically to update the job description. When employees have their performance review, they're asked to review their job description to make sure that the duties that they're assigned are accurate and up to date. And this involved the Director of Community Mental Health, and there were some changes to the job description that were being recommended. Either new duties being assigned or some duties that went away. So it was basically to update the job description. No request or to look at whether or not there was going to be an increase in pay or anything of that sort. Just updating the job description. The Deputy Detention Manager at the Youth Center, as you may recall, Robbie Bryant retired here last month. His position was posted and was filled by an internal candidate, Rondi, and I apologize, I can't recall his last name, but he was selected by Brad Alexander for that position. Now his position is vacant, and that job description is quite old, and it needs to be updated so that they can post for that. So it's just basically to update the job description since it goes back quite a ways. The Manager of Specialized Services at the Health Center, this is a job audit as a request to look at the position of the Manager of Specialized Services with some reorganization that's taking place at the Health Center by Mr. Turbo. The person who is the Manager of Specialized Services is going to be looked at, the position is be looked at to add additional duties to that position. And at this point, there's been no request to look at that job in terms of increased pay. That was the request that came forth.
Okay. Commissioner Borgeson?
Mr. Leger, when you say that there's no request at this time, does that mean after they get the audit and it's done, then they could come back potentially and ask, and would those show up again on here, or would it just happen?
Any increase in a person's pay would have to come back to the county board, because this is a range position. County board sets the pay structure for that. If there was a request to look at that or consider additional pay for that person, that would have to come to the county board through the department head, in this case, the chief administrative officer.
Okay.
Commissioner Boyle?
I'm kind of confused because I don't remember seeing any of those. Would it be at budget time or something? I mean,
Either they could be at budget time, or they would be at any request to give an employee more pay would have to come to the board. I don't recall that there have been any per se in quite some time for raise position, because they do need to come to the board through either budget or when we do annual salary increases for the non-union employees.
well, I guess it'd be so. It would probably be lumped together with other things that we wouldn't really observe it or know about it, you know. But and I'm not complaining about job audits, but job descriptions, in my opinion, drive pay. I mean,
they do.
The pay, when someone gets a job description and says, okay, now you have to supervise 5 employees instead of 3.
Right.
Then, so, okay, well, I'm doing, more people, so I get paid more. That's logical, supposedly. So, I mean, I see this as, something going on. I'm pretty astounded there's changes going on at the health center when we're in the midst of having a consultant come in and,
And I think what's going on there at the health center is a consolidation of duties and responsibilities. I assume that Mr. Turbo had talked with you about what he's planning on doing there to consolidate different positions and duties and responsibilities.
I haven't seen any consolidation out there much, except for a couple of part-time people, so we avoid paying them benefits, which I don't agree with. So, okay, if you want to go ahead.
Sure, go ahead. The clinic clerk, WIC, health department, and the community health educator health department, these are job descriptions that go back to the mid-1990s. There's some job duties being added to those, some taken away. It's just update to job descriptions so that when we recruit for them, post the jobs, recruit for them, that the duties are accurate and the responsibilities, as well as qualifications for the job. So.
Well, I guess I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think we get the drift. What I'd like to ask you to do is to, in addition to telling us about these 7, if you could include in that, where I assume you're doing this report, aren't you? Your office?
Yes.
Yeah. If you would include in that the results of job studies, that, if you would indicate that a job study was requested on, April 16th, 2012, and today is, August 28th, 2012, and the result is that additional job duties, and of course, we won't really see any pay increase, would we?
No, not necessarily. I mean, if there's a pay increase, it's got to go through, and it's got to come through the board. If it's a position that's covered by the union, then it has to go through the union through that process.
I guess the next step I'd like to ask you to do is to flag those, because I don't remember ever seeing any of those pay that comes through that says this is a result of a job audit.
Okay.
And I'm not opposed to job audits. I just think if I were working it, I would ask for a job audit at a chance I got. I remember one time I was in city government, someone asked for a job audit and came back and said, you're overpaid, and they said, oh, never mind, and so we kept paying him more than he was supposed to get. But, I don't mean to be so cynical, that's not always taking place. So, I appreciate it. I appreciate the information.
Commissioner Duda.
Thank you. I just wanted to say regarding the health center, I did have conversation yesterday at the trustee meeting with their director out there, Jim Turville, and I don't want to bring up specific names publicly because of personnel, but in exec session, I'll let you know one member of the executive staff that is no longer with us that was let go last week because of budgetary restraints, and we are consolidating 2 positions into 1 out there, so we will have 1 less head. And there was some bitterness over this gentleman being let go, but it was for budgetary reasons.
Okay. And I have some questions.
Sure.
What happens? What goes into deciding if a job study is required?
The immediate supervisor or manager would request it to their department head or elected official. If it's a department head, then it has to go to Kathy Kelly, and then she would have to sign off on it before we would act upon it. It would have to, in the case of an elected official, the elected official would have to sign off on it before it comes to us, before we would act on it.
And you are then required to act on it?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned regarding the law degree, not the law degree, the...
Well, graduation from the Law Enforcement Academy?
Correct.
Yes.
You said it does not necessarily mean that there would be a pay increase, but is it likely that it would result in a pay increase?
I don't believe it would. It is not substantially adding to the job. It's a requirement. Many positions we have require a licensure of some sort or achieving a certain level of education. In this case, these are individuals who are the security people in the complex here.
Thank you. Commissioner Duda.
Again, to these entrance security officers, because these men and women are required to carry firearms, some of them, they tend to be retired law enforcement from a variety of agencies around, and so they've all graduated from law enforcement anyway. But because they are required to carry firearms and to be certified to do that, this shouldn't be much additional burden.
Commissioner Borgeson and Commissioner Boyle.
Do they currently have that?
To carry firearms?
No, I mean, if we're adding this, it's never been in there that they had to graduate from a law.
I'd have to double check if it wasn't. I know one factor was from an approved law enforcement. I think that was a big piece of it that didn't have the term approved law enforcement academy. So.
Well, and I guess the only thing that I would question is if there were ever a time where there was talk about contracting for services, that would maybe limit a lot of the contractors and the employees that they have. So I don't know if we're shooting ourselves in our foot, so to speak, by making it.
We can't. We're not certified.
By making that a condition or not, but I mean it's just something to think about. Yeah. That if you, the more you add, I think the harder potentially it would be to, you know, obviously get people, but I mean, I know we want them all trained well, but you also pay for it then.
Commissioner Boyle.
Well, I get very concerned about people who are contracted, just in general, but people who are contracted and carrying guns really make me nervous. You know, I mean, I have represented a lot of law enforcement agencies, including the state troopers in the past, and it is, I mean, they're very professional. All the groups that I've represented are professionals. I do get concerned about it, and I'll remind everyone that we had an employee at the Douglas County Health Center who was a contracted employee, not in law enforcement, who did a terrific job. Everybody thought she was great, and then a job opening came up and she applied for it, and then they did a background check, and it turned out she had some little misdemeanor that she didn't tell us about, so we didn't hire her, you know. So I really question about some of these background checks of contracted employees, and I'd be very uneasy. I think we need security at the former Goodwill building. I thought that was going to be named after me. But anyway, at the Mike Boyle General Assistance Offices.
That's the jails.
Oh, that's the jails. Anyway, at the Boyle Center for Services. That I think they need security for sure because of what the cases they're dealing with. But I hope we think this out pretty clearly. So anyway, Lee, I appreciate the report.
Sure.
It's always helpful for us to get
this.
into the nitty gritty. I don't mean to be nitpicking, but it's very helpful.
Sure, we'll add to the report those items.
Any other comments? Okay. Next we have the legislative issues. I will be meeting with Senator Frisch on Wednesday. He called me and said he wanted to meet, so we'll see what that's about. I've asked Rick Kubat and Kathy Kelly to sit in with me. If anybody else wishes to join me, we would have a limit of 2 more.
When is this?
Wednesday at 10.
Here?
No, at noon here in our chambers, yes. And it's Wednesday. I have to look to see. I'll tell you which day it is. I can't remember right now.
Okay.
Commissioner Boyle.
There was a piece of legislation that we proposed on a number of occasions that I think it keeps coming up, and I hear today when we heard about the guardian ad litem, it's the same sort of thing. One of the problems we run into is that we ask for changes, and when they do, they apply to the whole state, you know? And one of the things I think we really probably, I'd like to see us be a key piece of legislation is requesting that there are classifications of counties, but I'd like to see us classified as a county of the first class or county of the something class, and be able to isolate us so that when we go down and ask for changes for guardian ad items that would apply to counties of the first class and not interfere with what's going on in Brown County or someplace, that it doesn't disturb what they're doing and it won't raise all the flags and we have all these people with pitchforks chasing us around the rotunda in Lincoln. You know, that I'd like to see us focus on that because I think if we could get some things done that need to be done for Douglas County and a metropolitan class county or something. So
What you
I'd
want is
like
a
us
home rule county.
Talk about it. Pardon me?
I mean, the precedent is other states call it home rule counties.
Yeah, that'd be all right. That'd probably scare
But I don't know if you get that, but
yeah, that'd be nice. But I mean, right now, for example, we have to run down and, you know, with Mrs. Badiato, we have to run down so she can get an extra dime on filings, you know, and the process is so expensive to do things like that. So, anyway.
Are there any additional issues anyone wants me to put on the agenda? Okay.
I have a point of
Yes.
personal privilege when the time arises.
Okay. It'll be next Tuesday when we don't meet.
Labor Day, well, I'll be here.
Oh my God, that was so
Labor
good.
morning.
Okay, I believe now is as good a time as any.
Okay, great.
We have one more action item.
Okay, we do. Yeah, okay, let's take item 3, approval of reimbursement services agreement with WageWorks, Inc. for administration of the county's medical flexible benefits plan and qualified parking plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Duda,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Tusher.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion passes.
Commissioner Boyle, I will grant you the privilege of having a moment of
Thank you
personal
very
privilege.
much. Thank you very much. The motion, the item I'd like to bring up is I would like to ask one of the commissioners who voted on the prevailing side on the merger issue of the Register of Deeds and the Assessor's Office to consider bringing that back, suspending the rules, declaring an emergency, and bring that item back for consideration, because there's several of us, people that I run into, don't have information about what the savings really are, and even though there are some savings, that the people who would be replaced, public officials, would be replaced by at least 1 or 2 civil servants that probably would be paid at least or maybe even more. So the savings really come down to being pretty minimal. One fellow stopped me at the drugstore a couple days ago, and he said, you know, I'm going to be, instead of having an elected official to vote for or against or have, you know, if something happens, I've got a bureaucrat, that's the way he described it, running the office. And I said, well, not necessarily a bureaucrat, someone who's got some experience, but he said, no, it'll be a bureaucrat that I can't get to. And so he can't vote in or out that person. He would have to vote out the, I guess, the one officer. So I'd like to ask one of you to consider that, and so that we could postpone it till the 14th. I'm not totally opposed to it, but I think we need more information about what the impact really is. So I'll make that request now, and if one of you would do that, I'd be very grateful.
I see no indication.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Couple
Thank you.
announcements. Community Service Committee meeting will take place 10 minutes after we adjourn from our executive session, and that'll be in room 903. It is open to the public. Then we have Health and Human Service Committee meeting at 1:30 today in the Jesse Lowe Conference Room. And Commissioner Borgeson, is there anything special on that you want to bring up?
No, it'll just be a very informative meeting about healthcare reform.
Okay. And with that, there is need for an executive session in order to protect the public interest with respect to discussions regarding labor negotiations.
So moved.
Call for the vote.
give you my opinion.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Duda,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Tusha.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion passes.
Mary Ann, where
Motion to recall. I can't make a motion. Motion to reconvene and adjourn.
That name thing.
I can make a second.
But I'll be doing it because, yeah.
And we all vote unanimously.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
The only thing
do the
I really
roll call?
care about is the tier thing. And I
Mr.
think
Chair?
if he wants to do the study, that's fine, but they've already done it.
Should I do the roll
They
call,
probably need
Mark?
to look into the 501c3.
No.
The tier thing, though, you're talking about Omaha ramping up its funding? Got it, got
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I think if that's not a benefit, it ain't gonna cost us to bring it back. I mean.
Right. Are we out of here?
I guess.
Did anybody vote?
Yes.
Yeah, we all voted.
Cool. You don't need my vote then, huh, Ellen?
Okay. I guess not.
Where is your?
Nine oh
I
three
want to
and
grab
10
my
minutes.
lid.
Mariana, I need to talk to him when you get a chance.
Okay.
See you in the office.
And did he leave an extra one for PJ?
Hi, nice to meet you.
You can take mine.
I'll give, I mean, that's fine. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to make sure that he.
I don't even know how to open
If
these
you,
things.
we
I've tried
have
before
a
and I've
meeting
never
in
had
10. Okay.
Okay, ready, Eric? Okay, first thing, just stay still your first one.